what if I told you I could teach you how to create a risk-free trade to where 100% of your risk is removed while preserving and protecting profits? Would that interest you? Well, you might be saying there's no such thing. Well, there is such a thing. Let me show you what I mean. You'll probably want to watch this video, go through all the rest of the remaining examples, come back and watch this video again, and it will make a little bit more sense. But through your knowledge of how options operate and how they decay, let me show you how to create a risk-free scenario while you're protecting profits, okay? I'm going to go back in time to July of 2016, specifically because that was a period in time before we entered a very extended sideways range in the market. You'll see the markets, they stay trapped within ranges and they break out and then they re-enter new ranges. And they kind of vacillate and they go up and they go a little bit down and then they break out and they find a new range and they test a new range, they break out of that range, sometimes they come back into the range, sometimes they break out to a new range, but that's what the markets do. So we want to take that knowledge and that understanding of that and say, well, what if I am going to do something like this, create a trade that will set me back $30,000. This is what it looks like. I've got defined risk, I've got defined parameters, I know where I'm going to make adjustments. I am prepared on scaling in and scaling out of this, meaning this might become a larger trade, it might become a smaller trade. But what I want to show you is by taking your understanding of how these front options decay and moving them and adjusting them, you can very easily create yourself a risk-free trade. So let's just fast forward a couple weeks because I know that we don't hit either one of these expiration break-evens, and you'll see that we're up just a little about, almost about 10%. So this is what our trade is looking like. We haven't hit an expiration break-even. We've got 21 days to expiration. What do you do to create that risk-free scenario? Well, it's very simple. This is what you do. You get rid of these and you move them to here. All right, so I'm buying in the shorts that I am sold here. I am reselling them at a new strike that's got more days to expiration, and I don't ever have to touch these back longs here. When I do that, it takes this existing trade that has almost $30,000 worth of margin into it. No, that's not what that's this. And it creates this trade that now has, what, maybe about 12 or 13, 14.9. So let's convert that. So now what we have done is we have taken our first step in removing risk while protecting profits. So we'll go through a few more days, watch the profits continue to build. All right, we're getting up closer to this edge of the range. Now I will say, well, let me go one more day in time. Now I can begin to unwind these shorts that I have in the September cycle. And actually, I'm going to wait until we get closer to 30 days. And what I want you to notice is there is still all this distance in this time in between these two expiration cycles, where if I take out now, unwind half of my position, well, I'm pulling more and more risk off until eventually I create the scenario to where maybe I take 8 of these off. Now, what do I have? I have no risk whatsoever while preserving and protecting these profits. There's no way I lose money to the downside. I can further remove, I can take one more out. To take all that risk off of the upside. And you'll see that now you have created essentially a risk-free trade. You know you have locked in a guaranteed profit. You still have a little bit more that you can squeak out of it if it stays within this range. And it works obviously better when you have more contracts, but let's convert that. Make sure that those are all allocated for. Now we have got essentially a risk-free trade. We will keep those profits locked in. We still have one contract remaining, has 21 days to expiration. We've got 56 days to expiration here, and it just continues to grind and slowly decay up to these short strikes, at which point you'll have to make the decision to remove the trade before these short options expire, but you have been able to enjoy the comfort of no risk and let the market dictate and tell you where it wants to go. All right, so that is how you create a risk-free trade. That is one way, I will say, of how you can create a risk-free trade.